Welcome everyone to Berkeley Bicycle Club and episode 4 of season 4, or what I'm calling the episode I premiered my new goatee.
Oh!
Thank you.
No.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, that's nice.
We got a lot more
touch
eyes
me.
on the show these days, a lot more audience and a lot more areas. So I wanted you to do something for me. I want everyone to say, hi everyone at home, we love you. Hi everyone at home.
We love you!
Thank you. All right, I also wanted to mention, if you guys want to get in touch with us at home, send us suggestions, anything you want to say, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/join us on the couch, join us on the couch. You can also write us there if you'd like to be part of the audience on a future episode. We usually got pizza. It's a nice way to spend an evening. We got great guests. Just write us and we'll get you some free tickets. We have our reporters, Kat Grant, who is going to be with her guest pioneer radio host, Ann Hunter. Boyd Kodak will be chatting with writer, poet, singer, King, a long-standing queer community member. And Ade Johnson is not with us here tonight. He's on the road, but he's going to be on his youth corner with photographer and feminist Mariam Magis. My personal guest on the couch has done so much in her life, I don't know what to describe her. Is she a host, a performer, a comedian, an entertainer? Well, whatever she has done, I doubt there are many people in the community who don't know who Deb Pearce is. I mean, she was the host of the big stage for World Pride 2014 in front of millions of people. So everyone, help me welcome Deb Pearce.
Thank you!
What haven't you done?
Men. Actually.
But seriously. What do you call yourself? Just from a creative career side of things, because I know you're a lot more about work. What would you describe yourself?
Like,
A host, entertainer, what?
yeah, you know what?
All of it.
Yeah, I've sort of, depending on the gig, I'm a celebrity impersonator, I'm a singer, I'm a host, I'm an MC.
You've been a drag king.
I'm a comic, a drag king since the early 90s, yeah, on and
cool.
off. Yeah.
Ah, I'm so excited to be interviewing you.
I'm excited to be here.
Considering you've interviewed me on a bunch of your shows.
I know, it's going to be weird to sit back and be questioned.
Be the guest.
I may flip the script a little bit, but I'll try my best to just answer the questions.
So let's see. What do we want to talk about? So we get to know you. What are you doing these days? Everything, work, life, creatively, any big gigs coming out? What is Deb doing?
So interestingly enough, I have, I don't really talk about the fact that I have a day job, but my entertainment stuff has not always paid, the rent. So I was a digital strategist.
In Canadian media?
Yeah,
that
no,
pays
it's
the rent.
not. It's true. That is sad but true. So I've had a few different day jobs as a digital strategist. I worked with a startup company, and then I left there and I wrote this vision board that people talk about. It's and I came up with 4 things that I really love to do and I think I'm good at. I love the queer community, I love sales, I love fundraising, and I love talking to people about sponsorship and how they can get involved with the queer community.
Oh.
So very shortly, I'm going to be launching into a new career that actually has all 4 of those encapsulated into one job.
Plus your entertainment.
Oh, always that.
You'll never stop.
Always that.
Do you have any big gigs? Are you booked for Pride this year? Nothing yet?
I always do Pride.
Yeah.
I've been doing Pride since the early 90s, so I hope
so.
you're going to hire me.
Hey, Pride,
again.
listen.
Just saying. It's
Just
usually
saying.
an incoming call, but I might have to call out this year. You know what? I'm always doing little fundraisers here and there. I try to do one not-for-profit a month where I don't charge any money.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff I charge through the nose. So.
I know you've done a church last year, was it? When we talked on the phone? I can't remember.
What was it?
At a church?
Yes, I talked about my coming out story at a church.
That's not even
And then I sang Over the Rainbow.
Oh, okay.
That's how it ends.
You've been getting the urge again to get on the airwaves, I hear, or at least I saw a post on Facebook.
It's true.
What are you doing?
I was looking to get back on the air despite my sort of feelings about it because it's a bit relentless media, as you may know, as your audience may know. But once it's in you, and I need to express it somehow. So I'm thinking about mainstream FM, but I'm also thinking about creating a podcast. So that is for sure in the works.
I think that'd be an exciting one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. We are going to take a break, everyone, and we will be back with the lovely Deb Pearce. But now we're going to get to see what Kat Grant has to chat with her guest and Hunter about. So we'll see you soon.
Hi everyone, Kat Grant here. Today my guest is the legendary music producer, Ann Hunter.
Hi, Kat.
Hi, thanks for coming today.
You're so welcome.
So tell everyone where you were born and when you came to Canada.
1962 from England. I came over on assisted passage, reported to immigration, and they said, "Oh, have you got a job?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, CBC likes you Limeys. Why don't you go there and see if you can get a job?" So I did, and got a job in the accounting department, and that's how it started.
And then you were picked up because of your fabulous voice for radio and doing different shows. What were some of the names of your shows that you've done?
If you were a CBC listener, I started Fresh Air, which is still on the air.
Wow.
Blows my mind. I did the Alec Trebek morning show, and then I worked my way up to being a producer. And I had a show called The Entertainers.
Now you've worked with some pretty incredible people. Who were some of your favorites?
Beverly D'Angelo would be probably the biggest. Mark Jordan, he's one of my faves. Not well known, but he's written hits for Dinah Ross, all kinds of, Rod Stewart, all kinds of other people.
So you've been in the studio as well with Joni Mitchell.
Yep, she invited me down to when she was recording an album with Tom Scott. That was a bit of a strange trip. LA people just are not on our time zone. Just, you'd turn up at the studio and nobody would be there, and it's like, where were you? And, oh, we went to Jack Nicholson's for a party, and it's like, no one bothers to call you and let you know that. But, at that time, I also spent a beautiful day with Leonard Cohen and his son. That was fun.
I have also seen amazing photos of you with so many people, and you're so incredible. Were you out at CBC?
I've been out since I was a kid, right?
Right.
But in those days, 60s, no, you weren't openly out in the workplace.
Right.
I used to wear really short miniskirts and get chased around the building by Lloyd Robertson. And at one point in my life, I was in a restaurant at lunchtime, and I was whispering to my friend that I knew who was going to get a raise and who wasn't. And a girl in my office told my boss she had seen me kissing a woman in the restaurant. Luckily enough, another straight woman warned me that this was going down, and I got called into the office and was asked straight out, "Are you a lesbian?" And of course I said no. How stupid.
Right.
So you need a job.
That's right.
So you just
pay the bills.
Yeah.
Different times.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today and doing all the work you've done for us. Really appreciate it, and I love you very much. Thank you.
Love you too, and thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, welcome again. We're back. So Deb, this year we're trying to create an archive of some of our LGBTQ longtime creative heroes. So let's talk a little bit about the old days. When did you venture into the community? When did you come out into what they call the scene?
30 years ago, I came to my first, I didn't know it was Pride at the time. I mean, it could be called Pride. It was on Church Street, and City TV was there, and I was hiding from cameras. Now I jump in front of them, but
No, you can't keep her away
yeah,
from it.
it was. I can't. I don't want to. But it was interesting for me because as a young queer person and just recently out at that age, which is a story for another day. My dad sat me down and told me I was a lesbian. But yeah, we could do another show.
There's
actually.
a little bit more towards actually the end about that. So.
But what's interesting for me was I'm from Peterborough, so it was a really small town. I really thought me and my phys ed teacher were the only lesbians in the city. And so I left. But because anyway, I'm not going to say why. But it even for me was like I had sort of these misperceptions about what a gay man looks like specifically. I see these guys and they're super butch, and I was kind of conditioned early on for a level of flamboyance. And even that day I was like, wow, it was just, we look like everybody.
We do.
So I've been out for a long ass time.
What clubs were you? What happening around then? When did you hang out? Who did you hang out with? What clubs were? Yeah.
Chez Moi.
Oh, wow! Really? We are old.
The Rose Cafe
The
with
Rose.
DJ. Yeah, with DJ Julie.
Oh, yes.
Who I can still picture her high hair now, coming through the dance floor, telling me to put my cigarette out and not drink on the dance floor.
And Julie was on our show before. Yes.
Yep. The Women's Common on Parliament.
Okay. Yeah. I was all the stuff I used to get. Okay. So let's change the topic. We have done a number of community events together. I know as a host, you're quick on your feet, but what defines you as a host? What's your thing? What do you aim for when you're hosting a show or an event? What do you try to do?
Well, Antoine, thanks for asking that question.
Pleasure.
I'm
not sure if that's sarcastic or not.
No. I've said to you, as somebody that's hired me for many events, and to everybody that asks me to be their MC, is that I am your talking head. So for 364 days, you work up to an event, potentially, and on that one day, I get to come in and look like I know everything that's been going on for the last year. And I sort of see entertainers and performers and recipients of awards as the bricks of the event, and I'm just sort of the mortar in between. I have no ego around what I'm doing. I'm just trying to give back to my community and pay homage to whatever event I'm doing.
Well, that's why you're a great host.
Thanks.
All right. What is funny?
Applause? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just saying.
Just checking in.
Thank you.
What is funny? What do you think comedy is? I know you're not a comedian per se, but you do have some funny chops, and you hosted many open mic nights at a lot of the gay clubs.
I did.
What do you used to find? Yeah, what's funny, and what did you used to funny? What do you look for in somebody coming on stage? What would make them funny? I guess. So.
I just want people to be exactly who they are. If I can inspire them to be funny, that's great. If they're not funny, I'm not going to try to make them be anything.
Where does
but what
comedy
they are.
come from, though? What?
Oh, I think self-deprecation is hilarious. No, I really do. If you can't take
they
the
say
piss out of
pain.
yourself,
A lot of comedians that I
absolutely.
interviewed, yeah,
For sure.
Life experience and
Yeah.
pain and bad things, you can turn it into funny and laugh at it.
Yeah.
That's the best comedy.
I think something for me that I just have a funny bone. I don't know if it was my British dad, very dry. I don't know why. I think loving life makes things easier to find the humor in. Because if you can't, if the opposite is crying, then why choose that?
Beautiful. Yes.
Applause again!
Sure. She's getting a lot of applause. Who inspires you creatively? Me.
Yes, you do. Yes, you have. Yes, your sense of community is
Oh, thank you.
off
No,
the
I
charts.
wasn't looking for.
No, I do. I love that. Who inspires me creatively?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a dink about answering your questions, but creatively can go in so many different genres through music or through art. So I guess anyone that's passionate sort of inspires
That's
me.
a great answer. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. What makes you happy?
My son.
Oh. What makes you sad?
What makes me sad? My son. No. The body that I've acquired after having a child at 42. What makes me sad? People constantly sort of surprising me with disappointment
Well,
in the world in general, and just
Fair.
I get kind of frustrated.
but
that
you surround yourself with good people too.
I try to, yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good. All right, everyone, we're gonna take a little break, and we're gonna check in with Boyd Kodak with his guest King, and we will be back with the Deb Pearce.
Hi, Boyd Kodak here. Tonight I have the pleasure of interviewing King. King is a writer, poet, and singer, a long-standing queer community member, mentor, consultant, and counselor for queer youth. King, tell us about, well, welcome to start with.
Thank you.
Tell us about your songwriting, poetry, singing. When did you start?
I started writing as a teenager, I guess I'd say. I got into poetry. I learned the guitar as an adult, so I started taking poetry and writing songs. And I wrote my own songs, quite a few of them, and I became interested in singing more and more, got more confidence, and so my hope is to get more involved and actually call it work.
Yeah, work for money.
It is a pleasure, though.
Yeah. And tell us what inspires you.
And what inspires me overall?
Well, overall first. Yeah, let's start with overall to start with.
Well, folks like yourself.
Aw,
People
thank
who
you.
are go-getters, and as a musician, I'm sure you understand the go-getting part.
Yep.
But ultimately, I think I'm inspired by my surroundings, everything that I see, everything I experience, the people that I work with, the people I work for, everything in my community, everything personal is political, so I'm inspired by all that I'm involved in, all I hear.
Awesome. And your writing, poetry, music, it incorporates all of that? Or?
Absolutely. Yes, I wrote a poem about a number of issues that were happening at the same time. You know, things I was hearing on the news about the fathers that were killing their daughters for cultural issues, the women, Native women that are missing, the queers, youth that are killing themselves. It was just one thing after another. Black youth being killed one after the other. It's overwhelming, especially when you work in that area of society.
Let's talk a little bit about your activism and all the work you did for many, many years with SOY.
I spent 11 years at SOY supporting our youth at Sherburne Health Center.
Fantastic work.
Doing work specifically with Black queer youth, who I just adore. I've watched them grow up, and I've watched them have their growing pains, and I feel really good about being able to somehow support. The joy of that is getting to know them as people. They're amazing, they're brilliant, they have so much talent. You just need to get to know them. The older trans folks I worked with, 45 and over, from all walks of life, are pretty much the same. I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are, you have so much to give. And there's so much more and so many sides of those folks to get to know. And there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of ways that people can help and support. There's mentoring and volunteering. People, it's really, really important.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
We'll be right back.
So we're here with my friend, my favorite, Mariam Magis. She's a Pakistani Canadian, a photographer, a blogger, a feminist. So tell us about Parda, what influenced you for it, and why Parda?
You know, for a couple of years, I had been thinking about veiling practices associated with Islam. The readings of veiling, hijab, burqa, niqab, the readings of these veils in the West, the readings of these veils in the East, and growing up around women that veil, and also sort of having a mother that wears a hijab, a sister that has an on and off relationship with the hijab, I became quite curious about the practice, and I wanted to investigate it further and try to sort of see what the connection is between veiling and Islam, and I just began to explore it. I began to record the diversity in the readings, meanings, and interpretations of these veils. I was looking at their sort of gendered histories, and not only was I recording women and men that engage with veiling realistically, but I began to explore the burqa specifically, both symbolically as well as conceptually, but also realistically in the work.
So you're a feminist.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about your activism in feminism and how did that play a role in Parda?
So, I mean, you know, I have to say I was raised around some very, very strong women, my mother being one of them. And apart from, you know, seeing their feminism play out in, you know, some very patriarchal parts of Pakistani society, what I saw also was that alongside that they were able to maintain their traditions and also celebrate their culture, while also keeping religion, you know, as a focus. And I think for me, you know, the intersection of all of these things has always been very interesting. You know, in my own feminism, of course, I don't think there's any other way to live or think but to think in a feminist way. Gender equality, women's rights, access to education, healthcare, all of these things, you know, are very, very important.
Thanks again for being here with us on the couch, and keep up the good work. We look forward to seeing more work from you in the future in Toronto.
Thank you.
And welcome back. And Deb, let's talk about motherhood. I know that's a big part of who you are these days.
Yep.
Tell us about motherhood. How is it? How's it been?
It is the biggest, most important, most difficult, most rewarding job of my life. And
Okay.
I've had a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs.
And what got the wild child of our community wanting to be a mommy?
You know, I always knew that I'd be a parent. I wasn't sure that I'd actually carry a child, but I always wanted to be
You
a
wanted
parent.
to be a parent.
Always, always.
But I know there was something that happened.
Well, there was a few things happening in my life. A few friends had passed. My dad was diagnosed with ALS. And I kind of just wanted to celebrate life and bring life into the world.
Beautiful.
And it didn't take right away, but there he is.
And you yourself are very close to your family. I know I met your mom.
Yes, you did.
She's lovely.
Thank you.
You've always had a close relationship with the family?
Yeah, really close.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I'm the youngest of three. That's why I'm
Three?
a totally spoiled brat, seeking attention at all times.
A spoiled Deb.
Yep.
And I think you gave us a little hint. Can you share with us your coming out to the family story?
Yeah, very interesting. I was going to college and I was coming to Toronto. I'm from Peterborough, as I mentioned. I was going to Toronto all the time, and my dad sat me down with the lined paper and glasses and a pen. And he sat me down with this checklist of the things that I'm not, you know, I wasn't doing well in college. I was majoring in beer and popcorn, but it was actually rec leadership. But and he took his glasses off and put his pen down, and he said, I know why you've been so distracted lately. And I'm like, no, you don't. There's no way you could know. And he's like, your mother and I know that you're a lesbian. And we when we don't understand it because we know the love of each other, but we accept it. And we cried and I cried and I didn't even know if I had the words for it, but he was ready. I've been dropping hints, like, you know, Oprah used to do the coming out day, and I'm like, hey, Mom, did you watch Oprah today? Very subtle. So anyway, they gave me the words before I even had them.
Very nice. Community is also family. I know you and I both strongly feel that way. How do you think our family is doing these days?
Oh, dysfunctional.
But aren't all families?
Really. I mean,
we still love them.
We do still love our community, and it's not dysfunctional, but it's divided, it's splintered. It always has been. There's been women's bars, men's bars, you know, all that stuff, very separate and divided.
But when it's important, we come together.
We do kind of come together, and I think we sort of celebrate the differences within. I think the misnomer is that our community is one person. But we're not. We're like sort of snowflakes. Like however I identify and however
Everybody is
another
a different- is
lesbian
individual.
identifies, it's all so different, right?
We can well come together with a common.
I'd like to think so.
interest,
Yeah.
So that's it. We come to the end of the
No,
show. No,
I'm not
there's still more.
done.
No, there's still there's still the fast questions. So bear with
Is
me.
there rapid fire?
I don't know if you're a viewer of our show, but we ask very quick questions. So, cat person or dog person? Good here. Neither.
Pussy.
Boxers or briefs? No.
Neither.
Favorite vacation spot?
Anywhere warmer than this.
Best kids movie to watch with your son?
Moana.
Oh, I like it. I love that. Best play date with your son? What do you like to do?
Swimming.
Okay. And last words to the community and our viewers.
I'm just really honored to be here at this amazing show. I'm really glad that you guys came out. Thank you very much. And I think it's really important to celebrate the goodness in our community because we're so quick to, tear each other down and not be kind and lovely and nice to each other. And these kind of things and the way you live your life and the way this show exists is just so important, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, everyone, we are at the end of the show. All good things have to come to an end, but we will see you again next time. Thank you to all our guests, to our reporters, to the crew, and to all of you. And be the love you want to see out there. Thank you very much. Take care.